Raider Nation. Thank you for joining us on the Only Nation podcast, brought to you by the Raider Ramble. My name is Heidi, but you may know me as Kevlar Pondress or even Raider Ladybug. I'm here with Raider Homer and T3 Raider Facts, and we're ready to talk some Raiders football together.
Always ready to talk Raider football.
I still have a normal heartbeat and heart rate, but that can all change in a flash. Let's proceed slowly.
Before we go into this episode, I just want to send my prayers and condolences to Ty Brown from South Mississippi Raiders fan club. Ty Brown passed away 12/9, and it hit the Raider Nation pretty hard. So I want to send prayers and condolences to his family.
Rest in peace, and the entire Raider Nation is behind his entire family.
Once a Raider, always a Raider.
Amen to that.
Today on the show, we made a trip up to New York, came from behind and took a 24-13 lead, then lost the lead, and then pulled out a 31-28 victory over the winless Jets. It was a real nail-biter as Henry Ruggs' 46-yard touchdown catch with 5 seconds left pulled out the victory for the Raiders, moving their record to 7-5 on the season. We also want to congratulate Chris from Virginia Beach, Virginia. He was the winner of the customized Raider jersey last week. Due to a backorder situation, we want to thank Fanatics.com for stepping in to handle the order, so Chris can get his jersey before Christmas. Make sure you get in touch with us so you can have your chance to be a winner for our second custom jersey that we're giving away. We'll be giving away one more before the end of the season.
I just want to say that I knew we were coming back, especially when we got that stop in the fourth quarter and Carr got a second chance. Man, I felt it. I felt it coming. So always believe in the team, and I think that this team has learned that because of that play. All right, now we would love to hear from you, Raider Nation, so here's how you can get in touch with us. Leave us a message on the Only Nation podcast voicemail line at 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Be sure to leave us your name and address when you leave your message, or you can leave us a text message as well. Our email address is onlynationpod@gmail.com, and we can be found on Twitter and Instagram at onlynationpod. You can also check us out on Facebook and YouTube at the Only Nation Podcast. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all your favorite social media accounts and podcasting apps. And don't forget to send us a message with your name and address, and we'll get some free Raider merch sent out to you. Also, check out our website at onlynationpod.com. And if you haven't done it already, make sure you do it soon, so you will be eligible to win between now and the end of the regular season.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
All right. On to our first segment.
Here's the latest Raider news.
On Sunday, in MetLife Stadium, the Raiders needed a miracle touchdown to beat the 0-12 Jets, leaving many fans in Raider Nation filled with doubt. There are 4 games remaining, 3 of them at home, and 2 head-to-head against potential playoff wildcard teams. First one comes this week against the Colts.
I know Raider Nation is filled with doubt, but come on, Raider Nation. Come on, look, we led 17-13 going into halftime, and man, people were all bummed out. This is the NFL, though. These 0-12 teams, if you look at the schedule the Jets have played, they played some tough teams. They're in a tough division. All right, you knew that they weren't just going to come over, or we weren't just going to go over there and they were going to roll over. They were a tough team for us to beat last year, and the fact that we were able to keep our heads in the game and keep fighting is a great sign for this team. Look, we left it all on the field in Kansas City and then went and got our asses beat in Atlanta. We had to bounce back. The team never gave up, and neither should the Raider Nation. Don't let the doubt fill your head, because this team is not doing that. Now we're at 7-5, and we got a good shot at winning, getting into the playoffs.
Trips to New York always have worried me, and we have played against lesser teams and come out with lesser outcomes. So the fact that we came out of it with a win is great. And I will say 3 words: survive and advance.
Just win, baby.
One question, Homer.
What?
Who did you predict would win last week?
The Jets. I told you, though, and I'm going to pick the Raiders to lose again this week. I've been picking the Raiders to lose or to win every game, and it's like some of them we don't win. And it's like, for me, it's like, don't get too high so you don't get too low. These are tough games. But this last 4 games, this is make or break right here, and so I don't know. Yeah, I picked the Jets. You know what? And I'm going to eat the crow. Whatever. It doesn't bother me.
But talk about doubt.
Hey, but I felt when I knew that Carr would be able to bring us back. Yeah, he missed the pass to Aguilar. But don't forget that we got that touchdown pass to Renfro. Of course, the 2 penalties negated that touchdown, and then they had to replay the play. And then he came up short to Aguilar again in the end zone. But look, anytime Derek Carr got the ball, you know, in the fourth quarter with a chance to win, we can do it 20 times.
Well, there's not a lot of crow on that plate, so you won't have to eat very much.
On the now equally famous and infamous play, the Jets decided on an all-out blitz, leaving Henry Ruggs in a one-on-one man coverage with Jets cornerback Lamar Jackson. Yes, not that Lamar Jackson, the cornerback Lamar Jackson. Carr properly read the defense, got enough time in the pocket from his offensive line, and found number 11 on a pass that Ruggs later said felt like the ball was in the air forever.
Yeah, I mean, he stepped up. I mean, man, like I said, Raider Nation was bitching during the game, you know, at the South Austin Beer Garden, right? They wanted him to run in a few situations where he stayed in the pocket and he looked down the field. That last play was exactly why I said, no, man, you want him to be able to work the pocket, step up in the pocket and look down the field. It's not always a good thing to run, especially in that situation, but Carr knows how to step up in the pocket and deliver the ball, even if it feels like it stays in the air forever.
That was a pretty pass, and I'll tell you, Ruggs actually ran away from Jackson. He was separating even as he was catching the ball.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful. And I was yelling, and my dog and my cats, they were like, what the heck is up with you? Why? Because we don't turn the game off before it's over.
Oh, man, there was a few people that walked out. All right, man, I'll see you next week. And I'm like, hey, the game's not over yet. I got to go, man. You know what, though? I was so glad I sat there just watching the play, and I called it. I knew he was going to get it as soon as he got that double move going, and he started to pull away. I was like, there it is. Sure enough, boom. Now, the ball did move a little bit. It's like, Ruggs learned to catch with your hands a little bit more, but he pinned it, and that was the game.
What's my name again? My name's Heidi. And we're not going to have a repeat of the Heidi game. Even though this happened 50 years to the day of the original Heidi game against the same team. The name Heidi will go down in Raiders history.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No. And so go the Raiders.
Right.
I thought it was the Japanese that bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yes, I was quoting John Belushi from Animal House.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
It's like one of the most famous movie lines in history. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No. Wait a minute, wasn't the Japanese? Yeah, but he's on a roll. Let him go.
I've never seen that movie. Before my time. All right. As a result of the decision to use an all-out blitz with no safety help over the top in the final moments of the game that resulted in the Ruggs touchdown, the Jets fired defensive coordinator Greg Williams on Monday. Assistant head coach Frank Bush will serve as the interim defensive coordinator per Connor Hughes of The Athletic.
Now this one really kind of makes me laugh, right? So we just talked about the Raider Nation was filled with doubt, right? And they're all like, you heard them. Oh man, the Jets are tanking. The Jets are tanking. He called that play on purpose to lose. But then I hear a lot of the same people saying, oh, man, let's hire Greg Williams. Let's hire Greg Williams. Like, dude, what? First of all, I don't think they're tanking. You know what I mean? Because
no, they
all are at risk of losing their jobs. You know what I mean? So I don't think the Jets are tanking. We got a lucky shot, right? Yes, blitzing like that. That's funny. You've seen the meme where it's like Carr needs one touchdown with 13 seconds to go, and the Jets are all like, all blitz. In the Madden play. They did do that, but if they would have sacked Carr, game was over. And they got close, except Carr knows how to step up in the pocket with all the people that talk shit about Carr. Like, he stepped up in the pocket and delivered the ball. And it was close. It was close. There was a couple guys that almost got to him. So I'm excited about this play. I really think this is going to be the shot in the arm that this team needs. Like I said, we left it all on the field in Kansas City. Then we went to Atlanta and got our asses kicked. And then we went to the Jets where we were kind of back and forth. But in the end, they know, and they said it in their press conferences. We know now, the younger guys know now that we are never out of this game. Carr said it. He said, me and Rodney knew that we could do it. We've done it 20 times or so together. So this is legit. This is a legit good team, and this is a good thing for Ruggs, right? See, Ruggs, he dropped a pass that turned into an interception, and then he fumbled the ball. But at the end, he kept playing. He knows now that Carr is never going to give up on him. He's going to deliver that ball to him whenever he's open. And he got open, and Carr delivered the ball. That was a great win. I know it felt like, oh, man, 0-12 team. We should have stomped them in the ground. But that's what we were saying in Atlanta. But it didn't happen that way because Atlanta, they're football teams. They're professionals. They want to win. Their contracts, they want better contracts. Those coaches, Raheem Morris, right? He wants to become the coach. These guys are not going to just roll over. Think about it. If you've ever played football and you got to the end of your season and you had a losing record and you were going to play a team that was fighting for the playoffs, you knew that you wanted to beat them so that they couldn't go to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Especially if they beat your ass the last year. You know what I mean? There's no way these teams are just rolling over. So just stop that, Raider Nation. Stop saying that they're tanking for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, come on. Don't do that.
And Homer, to go back what you were saying, I totally agree. These are professionals, and they are looking for contracts. They get paid well, and nobody wants to be an offer. There's only been 2 teams in the 16-game schedule history of the NFL that have been 0-16, and the Jets didn't want to be the third. So they know that Adam Gase is going to be gone at the end of this year, and they do have some good foundational pieces that they can build on, kind of like the Raiders had a couple of years ago. So they are going to be an up-and-coming team at some point. They haven't quite figured it out yet, but they were not tanking. They were not laying down. If they had, the game would have gotten way out of hand when the score was 24-13. So they continued to fight, and they came back, and they got the lead. So that is not a team that's tanking. The Raiders were fortunate, but the Jets did play a pretty good game.
Yeah, I'm with you guys and with Amy Trask on that. There's no way they were tanking. Pros don't tank. I'm sorry. They were not playing like a team that was tanking. That was a bad call. It blew up on them. But they were fighting to get that first win. Like you said, it affects their contracts. It affects the coaching staff. It affects their future profession. There's no way that they're rolling over and trying to tank.
Not at all. All right, now I'm going to give you 2 stats which came from Josh DeBow of the AP. I'm going to give you the bad news first. The Raiders on defense have now allowed an NFL worst 14 touchdown drives of 90-plus yards since Gruden and Gunther arrived in 2018. It has happened 3 times this season. The Chiefs did it twice in Week 11, and the Jets did it this past Sunday. Not good.
Ouch.
Not good.
We need more help.
We need a better defensive coordinator.
I agree with
I'm
you
right
there.
I like that they gave Gunther 3 years, but now it's time to move on. It really is. Morrow came in. He played well. Nothing really has changed, right? We went and got Vic Beasley. Of course, he's, new, but, nothing's really changed, right? We keep getting these guys in and nothing really changes. We got talent. Jonathan Abrams, even when he's in, we're still giving up. We gave up those other 2 90-yard drives to the Chiefs with Abrams in there. But I don't know. It is time for Gunther to go. We'll see who they hire, though. Because
not Matt Patricia.
Who would you
not
hire?
Matt Patricia. I agree.
Telling you, I think they're going to at least interview him. I think they will at least interview him.
I think that Gunther has lost that defensive locker room. And once you lose that locker room, you can't get it back.
He never had Corey Littleton.
That's true. That's obvious.
No, I'd actually rather take Greg Williams over Matt Patricia. And that's not saying much.
What if he blitzes, though, and costs us a game like that? Then you're going to be calling for his head.
I'm not sure I would recognize a blitz after having Gunther as defensive coordinator for 3 years.
I'd like to see a blitz. Then maybe they pick it up, maybe they don't, but at least we get some guys going up the pipe.
Anyways, go on.
All right. The second stat is more encouraging. This past Sunday against the Jets was the first time in the past 30 years that the Raiders started a drive when losing in the final minute of regulation and then ended up winning the game.
And Homer, who was leading that drive?
Derek Carr. Not Marcus Mariota. Derek Carr.
Tell us a little bit more about him.
Well, Derek Carr is the leading passer all time of the Raiders. He also has the most touchdowns as a Raiders. He has, I think, the most fourth quarter comebacks as a Raider. If not, he's definitely has a record for the most fourth quarter comebacks in his first 7 years. He also has some pretty good numbers that are comparable to Russell Wilson, where he hasn't thrown as many interceptions with so many passes in the first 7 years. Derek Carr is a true leader. He's not going anywhere. All right. They're going to re-sign him. Maybe they will draft a quarterback at some point. Maybe they'll sign Sam Darnold. My fingers are crossed. But Derek Carr is the real deal. Look, I've been a Raider fan since 1990. All right. I'm not even going to try to list all the names because I drank way too much watching those games to even try to remember that shit. I had to look at a list, okay, because that's how bad it was. But I know that Derek Carr is the real deal. And yes, he is the best quarterback we've had since Rich Gannon. And like I've said before, all right, Derek Carr is somewhere between Rich Gannon and Brad Johnson, and we all know what John Gruden did with those two quarterbacks. So look, Derek Carr, fourth quarter comeback kid, all right, game manager, big arm, athletic. We know he can run. That's why everybody clamors for him to run more. But with that, he's the kind of quarterback that will stand in the pocket and deliver. He's that kind of quarterback that will play injured. All right. Remember, he broke his pinky, played, then broke it. Then he broke his leg after that. That was the end of the season. And then he hurt his back and came back 2 weeks later. There are not very many players that will get on the field and do that kind of stuff. All right. And look, Derek Carr has proven why you go with the quarterback instead of a defensive end. Now, sure, if we had Khalil Mack still, I'm sorry to bring that up again, but it would help our defense. But Derek Carr is the reason that we're winning these games, especially last game. 381 yards, 3 touchdowns. Look, in a fourth quarter comeback. I mean, he was balling. We were missing Josh Jacobs and we were missing Abrams on the other side of the ball. It was Derek Carr's game to step in and play and win, and he did it. He did it, Raider Nation. Stop the doubt when it comes to Derek Carr. He's not going anywhere. He's John Gruden's quarterback. Should I keep going?
Heidi, have you got a fire extinguisher? Homer's on fire.
I don't know. The editing room floor is going to look messy tonight.
I think you got one more for us there, Homer.
Okay. And speaking of the comeback, you got to hand it to quarterback Derek Carr. With the victory on Sunday, Carr has now led the Raiders to their 19th fourth quarter comeback since the start of the 2015 season. No other quarterback has more during this span of time. Like I said, this guy, if he wins the Super Bowl, I'm telling you right now, Raider Nation, he's going down as the greatest Raider quarterback of all time.
All right, the Raiders played the game without Josh Jacobs and tackle Trent Brown on offense, and they were without safety Jonathan Abram, and Damon Arnett went out early with concussion-like symptoms on the defensive side of the ball. So injuries continue to plague this Raiders team.
There's a rumor that Arnett's headed to IR. Has there been any follow-up or confirmation of that?
This podcast is recording on Wednesday, but I haven't seen anything definitive one way or the other.
Okay.
I would hope so. I mean, the guy got knocked out 2 games in a row. Like, just sit him down for a little bit. I'm glad they signed Worley. Worley's not the best cornerback, but at least he knows the system. He knows how to not get knocked out 2 games in a row. I mean, I like Arnett. He's a good kid, but man, awareness, protect yourself. Don't just, he got knocked out. I was like, oh my God, again. But the team needs to think about this kid's health. CTE is a real deal. It's a real deadly thing for these players, man. So they got to sit him. Just sit him.
Yeah, and his neck didn't look quite right either.
Yeah.
He just needs some time.
Worley is spelled too close to the word worry, which is what I'm going to be doing this week. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope for the best. Okay, now last year, Darren Waller was snubbed for the Pro Bowl. We all know that. Now, through 12 games this season, Waller has already totaled 741 receiving yards, and he trails only Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs in receiving yards, and he's tied for the lead in touchdowns scored by a tight end with 7. I'll tell you what, in games when they get the ball early and often to Waller and he balls out, they should just change the name on the back of his jersey to Baller. He is doing the work.
Ooh.
Waller the baller.
There's an idea. Get a custom jersey that says Baller, number 83.
We could do that. It's up to our recipient's choice.
There's an idea, though.
There's a thought. All right, now the Indianapolis Colts come to town this week, and Colts receiver T.Y. Hilton is just coming off his best performance of the season with 8 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown. all against a depleted Texans secondary, which then opened up their run game, which finished with 109 rushing yards. Now, the good news is that Phillip Rivers was sacked 3 times in the game, and the offensive line of the Colts has been hit with injuries. They could be starting a third-string left tackle to protect Rivers' blind side. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that maybe that actually happens.
Rivers has turf toe, too.
Really bad, from what I understand.
Yes.
Here's the thing, our defense has been stepping up and getting turnovers more and more, right? We can't really, we come up with stops when we need them, here and there. We're getting opportunistic with these turnovers. So if we can just force, a couple of turnovers, get some 3 and outs, man, we got this game, and look, we haven't played that well at home, but now's the time. Think of it. You got 4 games left, man. All you got to do is beat the Colts and the Dolphins and one of either the Chargers or the Broncos. And I think it's going to end up being a win to get in Denver. But, if you want to be a playoff team and you got the talent to be a playoff team, it's the Colts and the Dolphins that you really have to beat. You got to start beating these teams and getting those tiebreakers. But as long as we can come up with some turnovers, a couple of sacks, and get some 3 and outs, man, we got it. And of course, the Colts have a good defense, but we played the Buccaneers and we were scoring on them. The game just got out of hand at the end of the game. But we faced good defenses this year, so I'm not too worried about that. We know our offense can play, so we just need our defense to just keep being opportunistic and get them off the field.
All right, so panel. This is everybody. Now that we're at the 3-quarter mark of the season, so 12 games are under our belt, the Raiders have a record of 7-5. So what kind of overall grade do you give the Raiders right now at the 3-quarter mark of the season? Heidi, what do you think?
I would give them a C+. And that's based on the strength of the offense. We are already at last year's win total. We went 7-9. We already have 7 wins. So we're ahead of that. Our offense is a little bit more consistent than it was last year. Our defense is what's really dragging us down. Special teams has been okay. I've been pretty happy with special teams. There haven't been the fumbles on the returns. And AJ Cole, Daniel Carlson, they've been holding it down pretty good. So special teams, along with the offense, that raises it from like a C- due to the defense. That raises it to a C+ in my mind.
Homer, what have you got?
I'm going to give him a B. We all talked about this tough schedule that we had at the beginning of the season, and then, of course, we got to travel to the East Coast 2 weeks back-to-back here at this part of the season. Our defense started off real slow, has been inconsistent, but is starting to turn it over, which means that we got talent. We got some ball hawks. Kwiatkowski, we got some hard hitters. I'm going to give us a B, because our offense, they've only really had one bad game, and that was in Atlanta. The Cleveland game, just throw that out because that was crazy, the weather over there. But we still got that win. Cars led us to get, they say, he's getting the monkey off his back in certain situations, right? Like the inclement weather games, not being able to win in Kansas City, not being able to travel to the East Coast. So we're starting to shake all these negative ideas or situations that we were unable to win in. So I'm thinking a B because, look, our coaching staff, other than Gunther and some of the defensive coaches, it's a solid coaching staff. We got a great GM, and we got an owner that really just kind of does his job and stays out of the way and thinks about the fans first. I like that he didn't, go to the stadium because, he's trying to side with the fans. Of course, that probably shouldn't factor into the grade. But overall, from the owner down to the practice squad, we have a really good team. We're always finding somebody to step up and make a play in different situations. I like what we're doing. If 7-5, nobody thought we were going to be 7-5. All right. Sure, we've laid some eggs, in the fourth quarter versus the Bucs, and then in Atlanta. But man, we had Kansas City on their heels, and they remember, they were talking about, they're going to drive the bus around our stadium. They ain't nobody. Yada. This is their Super Bowl, and at the end of that game, they were like, damn, this is a good team. We just need to learn not to play down to some of the other teams, but that comes with a dominant defense. Remember, this league is going crazy as far as scoring points across the board. So if we, and we're scoring good points too. We're 11th in points. You know what I mean? That's good. We just need a defense, though, because we need to stop the other team from scoring points. So I'm going to give us a B because we are still in the hunt and we have not given up yet.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little less optimistic. Normally I'm an optimist, but I'm going to give them a C-. Now, they are still in the playoff hunt, but just hanging by a thread. At this point of the season, I actually had them at 8-4, which is only one game better than where they're at. So when you look at all the injuries, and you look at everything that COVID has done to affect all the teams across the board, that's actually not bad. But they have been hit with injuries, and they are still, in my opinion, 2 to 3 players away on defense. What has really made me upset, though, and you mentioned that they've got a good coaching staff, but I have to tend to disagree just a little bit. I think for the last 2 weeks versus the Jets and the Falcons, they relied too much on that old Al Davis mentality of we're going to take what we want rather than what the defense gives us. And I think they could have schemed it a lot better against both the Falcons and the Jets and take what was there rather than what they wanted. I think if they had changed that scheme, we might have had different results in one, if not both games. And that could have been one game better, which could have had us right at 8-4. So all in all, I'm going to say that they're average, a little less than average, C-, but the foundation is there certainly to get better.
Man, you guys are killing my mood here.
I gave them a C+.
I see.
Because, I mean, average would be barely hanging on to a playoff spot. And, we are in the 8th seed. That's only going to be implemented if it's a contingency plan due to cancellations. But we're right there on the edge. So a little bit above average, C+.
So if we average everybody's together on the panel, we'll have a C+/B-.
Look, though, we're playing in the AFC, right? There's how many 7-5 teams? How many 7-win teams are there? This is a tough conference, man. And then no real OTAs and no real off-season, practices and things like that. I mean, considering that we weren't even sure if there was going to be a season, this is a great season. This coaching staff has this team where we need them to be. You know what I mean? We're not going to be worse than what we were last year, right? If we win one more game, no more losing seasons under Gruden, right? At this point. But if we win 2 more games, we got our first winning season since, 2016. I mean, and if we win 3 games, we got a chance to be in the playoffs, especially if we beat the Colts and the Dolphins. If it comes down, we just need to beat those 2 teams, to win the tiebreakers, and then we can win one more, I think, versus Denver. And then, you know what? We're in there. 10-6 is still possible, y'all. Nobody thought we were going to be this good.
Heidi?
Well, I know a lot of people were predicting 12-4, 13-3. I was at 9-7, and I'm still right around there. But I hope I'm wrong. I do hope that it's 10-6 or even 11-5.
I was predicting 10-6, and I'm still sticking with that, but I still think they need to win out. Looking at both the Colts and the Dolphins, as well as the Browns and the Ravens, there are 4 teams ahead of us that if they continue to do their work, regardless of what we do, we're out. So we just have to survive and advance.
We can go 10-6 and still miss the playoffs.
Yeah, if we win the Dolphins and Colts, we'll have the tiebreaker on them.
We just have to survive and advance. Week by week, we have to survive and advance.
All right. Enough about discussion. T3, why don't you give us another Heidi's high five?
And now it's time for another Heidi's high five.
All right. With this week's version, we turn our attention to old Raider nemesis, Mr. Phillip Rivers. And I thought I would revisit a few stats and memories before what may be the last time we ever face him again. Number 1, during his career, Rivers posted a record of 123-101, with 18 of those victories coming against the then Oakland Raiders. In fact, that is the most wins he's had against any franchise in his career, which makes sense because he used to play the Raiders twice a year as a member of the Chargers and against some really bad Raider teams. Number 2, in the last game he played against the Raiders, played in Oakland on a Thursday night back in 2019, Rivers was 17 of 31 for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he also threw 3 interceptions. Number 3, Rivers picked up a painful toe injury against the Packers in Week 10 and has continued to plague him. He's expected to require off-season surgery, but if you combine that with the suspect offensive line, Rivers and the Colts could have some trouble. If the Raiders can mount some kind of steady pressure, he could go down and go down hard. Number 4, a memorable trip I made to Oakland was during the 2010 season when the Raiders beat the Chargers 35-27. Clinging to a 1-point lead with time running out and the Chargers driving, Rivers was hit and fumbled the ball. Tyvon Branch scooped it up and ran it back 64 yards for the game-clinching score, and Rivers was seen crying after the game. Cry me a Rivers.
Cry me a river.
I was waiting for somebody to break into singing there. There you go. And number 5, Philip Rivers is known throughout the league as one of the classic trash talkers of all time. But the thing is, he never curses. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen if this trash talker meets up with Mr. Jonathan Abram on Sunday, head-to-head or face-to-face. It will certainly make for an interesting soundbite. And that is this week's version of Heidi's High Five.
It'd be funny if they mic'd up Abram and Rivers.
That would be hilarious.
I would pay to watch that.
Well, I'm curious. I think we beat the Chargers twice last year and twice the year before, right?
That's correct.
So I'm curious. I'm thinking, like, if anything, if that's like Gunther's best performance, like he has Rivers kind of figured out. So, that's what I know that he's playing with the Colts this year, but it's still Rivers. You know what I mean? And he's still got that. He's got a kind of a noodle arm now. Man, we got a shot. We got a shot at this game, especially at home. We gotta really learn how to be a home team in this game. But yeah, we got a shot. I'm excited about that. I think we can get this game. I'm still gonna pick us to lose though.
We know that Rivers is not going to be a danger if he gets flushed out of the pocket.
And he is susceptible to those interceptions.
Yes, he is.
Can always count on him for a couple. Okay, predictions for the upcoming game.
All right, I'll start out. Boy, I could not have been more wrong last week. I'd predicted the Raiders to win 30-13, and they just barely hung on. This week, with a few guys coming back, fingers crossed, I say the Raiders can still win if they hold to a good, tight game plan, and I'm going to say they win 31-28. I think it's going to be close, but I think they can still pull out the victory.
Homer?
We're going to lose, let's see, we're going to lose 28-24.
Reverse psychology. I love it.
If it works, roll with it,
I'll fillet your crow, or I will barbecue it for you.
Barbecue, please.
Okay. Texas barbecue. And I am going to go with the Raiders winning 31-24.
Oh, you could have picked the same score I picked. I wouldn't have cared.
I thought about that, but then I thought, well, our defense might be able to hold them to one field goal instead of a touchdown. So I decided to go with 24.
I hope you're right. I would like that.
I do too.
All right, Raider Nation, give us a call. We want to hear from you. This is the Only Nation podcast, so we want to hear from the Only Nation. You can call us at 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Leave a voicemail or text message at that number, or send in a message via social media, and we will share your thoughts.
Definitely. No messages this week. Craig, we missed you. Got to hear your feedback on this next one against the Colts.
I hope that we hear lots of feedback, positive feedback, after a potential win over the Colts.
Hey, and Houston Raiders Steve, I'm calling you out, man. Come on, give us a call. Come on, Steve.
Okay, T3, how about you tell us something else Homer didn't know?
Hey Homer, did you know?
This week, we're going back to the glory days of the 1970s. Today, we're going to revisit the arrival to the Raiders of one big, tough hombre, Big Bob Brown, who stood 6'4" and weighed about 280. He was an offensive tackle out of Nebraska. Brown was the second overall pick in the 1964 draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He spent 5 years with the Eagles before being traded to the Los Angeles Rams in 1969. After 2 years with the Rams, he was then traded to the Raiders in 1971, where he played his last 3 seasons. After becoming a 4-time finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he finally made it into the Hall in 2004. Boomer, as he was called, had a massive upper body and little bitty calves, kind of like Trent Brown, although no relation. But most of all, Boomer Brown was mean. He would wrap his forearms from wrist to elbow over pieces of hard molded plastic. It was like carrying 2 clubs around. What you may not know, however, is that on his first day of training camp with the Raiders in 1971, as his teammates were trying to figure him out, Boomer lined up in his stance in front of the wooden goalposts. He then fired out of his stance and laid a forearm smash on the upright. The post shattered and toppled over, dragging the crossbar to the ground. It has been rumored that when Jim Croce wrote his song Bad Bad Leroy Brown, he actually had Boomer Brown in mind, although that has never actually been confirmed. There are a lot more stories about the legendary Boomer, but we'll leave it right there for now. And that is this week's version of Hey Homer, Did You Know?
Isn't he the one that had his thumb taped up and he would fire off the ball and hit people in the ribs?
Oh, yeah, that was him.
The post shattered and toppled over.
He destroyed the goalpost. And this is on his first day with his new team.
It's a way to make a first impression.
Right? Nobody wanted to line up against him in practice.
Kenny Stabler takes one look at him and says, I'm glad we have that guy on our team.
All right, hey, let's get to the second best segment of the show, Heidi's Heroes.
Second best?
Second best.
Oh, the best. Sorry. The best segment of the show.
There you go. Now you got it right. On October 31st, Hurricane Ida formed and it finally subsided on November 14th. Right behind it, Hurricane Iota formed November 13th and subsided November 18th. The wind and rain caused flooding and mudslides affecting hundreds of thousands of people in Nicaragua. Damages in the country exceeded $500 million, and the country still faces food, bed, and shelter shortages as a result of the disasters. Enter Mo Hurst Jr. He had made friends with some Nicaraguans and wanted to help when he heard about this. After reading about the devastation and distress caused there by the hurricanes, Hurst helped donate food, health supplies, and mattresses to 500 families affected by the storms in the country near the Pacific coast. Dioramba is a town in Nicaragua, and its mayor, Fernando Baltodano, issued Hurst a letter thanking him for contributing to the relief efforts. He invited Hurst to come visit. He wrote, "We appreciate your empathy and humanity for the people most in need. At the same time, we want to extend a cordial invitation for you to visit us in Nicaragua. It will be an honor to thank you personally for your support. We await you with open arms." Hurst, of course, stayed quiet about his contributions, but when asked about it, he did say, "To be able to help, that's the greatest thing in the world. For me, that's part of who I am. I'm someone who wants to give back whatever ways I can and pass on some goodwill and good faith. I hope that others do the same and carry on and just be a never-ending chain." And that, Mo Hurst Jr., is why you're this week's Heidi's Hero.
You know, I always love hearing these stories. I mean, the Raiders are always doing, the players, the team, you know, the fan base, we're always doing something good for communities, and I love hearing it. You know, that's special. You know, this is a great thing. This is a great team, a great organization, a great fan base to be a part of, and I'm proud to call myself a Raider. You know, Raider Nation for life.
Remember, this is the only nation to be a part of.
That's right. All right, thanks again to our listeners for joining us on the Only Nation podcast.
Okay, Raider Nation, here's an important number for you because it could win you a free personalized Raider jersey. The number is 904-701-8667. I've already said this a lot, so hopefully you wrote it down. It's 904-701-8667. Leave a voicemail or send us a text message to that number. You can also email us at onlynationpod@gmail.com, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at onlynationpod. Search for us on Facebook and YouTube at Only Nation Podcast.
Be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite social media account and podcasting app. Make sure to leave your name, address, and phone number. Do that, and we'll register you for one more giveaway of a personalized Raiders jersey sometime between now and the end of the season. Make sure you get in your info to win your own custom Raiders jersey. 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Call us now and join the Only Nation podcast family. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Good luck, and remember, the more you share, the more chances you have to win.
Until next time, everyone, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Raiders, back home to the Death Star. Let's just win, baby.
Hey, Raider in peace, Ty Brown.
R.I.P.